Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome back here. So we did get a little bit done over the weekend. I was pretty busy on Saturday, so I did get to run the combine for 3 hours or so. Decided not to film it because it was a short day and I was watching football while I was doing it. So yeah, anyway, we finished that field where we were rained out on Friday there, and then got everything moved, and Dad kept running it in the evening. I had a wedding to go to, so he got another 47 on, and then yesterday Dad ran the combine for a little bit early in the morning, or not in the morning, early in the afternoon. Then we started getting some rain, so we ended up with just shy of 2/10 of an inch of rain yesterday, which is helpful, not nearly what we need, but it shut down the combine for the rest of the day. So anyway, that's where we're at with harvest stuff. We got a little bit of rain, and it's going to slow us down today too, but hopefully this afternoon we'll be able to get back in the fields. On Friday, Dad did a little discing, or maybe it was Saturday before the rain. Yeah, it was Saturday. We had a few sprayer ruts and stuff in some of the fields that are getting planted to wheat, so Dad kind of just did some end rows, like those ends over there that he worked down where we're going to plant wheat. But we're done with the disc here for a while, and we need that tractor to pull our new spreader. So we got to get this unhooked. All right. So this is the tractor we're going to use to pull our spreader for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think the 4440 or the 7520 are big enough. The spreader is not small, and I think it would push those tractors around. Two, it has a big 1000 PTO on it, which eliminates those two as it is. So really our choices are this tractor or the 8430. And the 8430 is going to plant wheat. This is the one that we kind of have free. Plus we have the best monitor in here. It's got our Gen 5 monitor, and we can upload our files straight to this. Makes it super easy, and we'll do the best job running this spreader. So we got to get her hooked up and connected and make sure everything's going to run right. The dealer is supposed to be coming out here this morning to help us get her dialed in. So we've got some lime piled across the road. We'll explain that process of adjustments as we go. I don't really even know at this point. Now, before we can even hook up to this thing, we got to take this clevis portion of the hitch off. I assume there's a nut under there. No, there's not a nut under there. How does that come off? Oh, that's super. Is that just... No, that can't be right. It's got to actually come off of there. How? Huh. Maybe it just goes off to the side. Interesting. Well, I looked in the book, and it doesn't talk about this at all, but those are welded on both the top and the bottom. It's not a bolt with a nut or a pin or anything, so I think it just goes off to the side like that. We'll ask the dealer when they get here. We may have to adjust the position of this clevis in these holes. You want this to be fairly level, and once I get everything out of here and on level ground, we'll have to take a look at it and see if that needs adjusted. So I'm running a software update on the computer, so I don't want to plug in the rate controller on this yet. We are running a John Deere rate controller. That's what this box is, so it should be very familiar to us. But we do need to get the PTO shaft hooked up. Okay, well, I got the PTO shaft hooked up. We're going to have to figure out what to do about all these chains I got hanging off there that keep that shaft from rotating. I don't know if I like those there. And this is going to be a problem, so we're going to have to hold this up, but then it gets super tight. I think we need to move this up to here to help hold that up. And we got this other cable that's got to go across there yet too, so we'll figure that out. But it's hooked up enough I can pull it around the front of the shop. One other thing to note, we've got these clips up on the top here, these brackets. Those are for some extension boards. It comes with those, or we ordered it with those. They were relatively cheap to have them welded on there, and we figured we could make our own boards. So Dad's been doing just that. He's got these nice white oak 2-inch by 8.5 inch sideboards got them all painted up and planed off and painted up nice. Those are going to go up on top there. They're still a little tacky, so, and he's getting some stainless steel bolts. That's where he's going right now, is to go get some stainless bolts put in them. So we'll get those added when we need to. Nice. We set up high enough here I can pretty well see into it, and there's that little window on the front, so that should work out well. I thought about getting a camera or looking into a camera to put in there so you can see inside the bin a little bit, but I don't know if we'll need it. Okay, we've got our spreader hooked up. We test run everything and it seems to be good. I got our rate controller pulled up on our Gen 5 monitor. I got all the software updates done that we needed to do there. So there was a little bit of setup stuff and the menus and just making everything what it's supposed to be. We've got some testing to do with our line. We got to figure out a density, and we got to figure out how much it's dumping off the belt per revolution, like a CFR they call it, cubic feet per revolution. So that it can do its math and calculate all of this stuff. So next step is to load some up. We do have a scale on here that's on this page, so it will tell me how much we put in there, which is super helpful for doing this calibration process. What I don't have is the control files for the lime. All of my scripts for fertilizer loaded into the display, the lime ones not so much, so I need to try and do that again. Alright, it's hard for me to show you guys this stuff, but we've got some lime in our spreader. And we've done one of our tests. See the big pile sitting there? We had to let it run. We wanted it to run 400 pounds off and see how much it put off compared to what it thinks that it put out. And the first time it thought it put 400 pounds on and it was 25. So we got it calibrated in pretty darn close. That is good. The next thing we need to do is test our spread pattern, and we need a relatively flat, non-weedy, or in this case clover field, where we can actually put some pans out and catch this stuff. So we happen to have a bean field across the road over here that is getting some lime, and it was combined. So we're gonna go back there because that's much easier to put pans out and catch stuff. And I'll try and show this a little bit more than what I have, but everything so far has been getting the monitor set up the way we want it. So we've got our catch pans out there. We are running a 60-foot spread pattern, and so we're going to make a pass down this one, and then we're going to go over and make a pass right down the middle of the other end one, and we're going to make sure all these pans are equal and even and see how we do. So let's go. All right, we got to figure this out here. I got to get my auto steer set up, and yeah, let's do it. Well, we made a dust cloud. Okay, so now we do this next one here. Basically the same thing. Get up to speed where we want to be. Click on our spinner. There's the dust. And we're going to spread past it for a minute. And then we'll stop and collect out of our pans. It sure doesn't look like an even spread pattern, but we can adjust. Alright, so we got these pans and these grates that we kind of put in there so that everything falls in, and then we pulled them out and kind of collected what fell into there. Actually, this one looks about the lightest. It doesn't look even from a spread pattern, but there's plenty of material in this center one that doesn't look like it, and you can see it laying here. What I do think is we got a little more of the heavies, you know, the stone, the bigger stuff that's going to take longer to break down versus the fines in the middle of the spreader. I don't know. I think we need to adjust a little bit. We're going to have to do this several times, if you ask me. But we'll get there. Now, work down in there all right. Nice. Okay. All right, pan test number 2. A little more run-up room. We added another pan because we were wrong the first time. And we're going to see if we do a little better here. So it's got these grates, and you can see, I mean, it's falling in there nice and even. And now we collect it and put it in some little tubes. They're over there, and compare. All right, so we're definitely off on our pattern. We're not getting enough to the outsides. We're getting too much in the center. We tried to make an adjustment the first time and we went the wrong way, but essentially we're moving this slide gate here, and there's a little gauge on the side over here. We're gonna move that from It's not quite 1 to about 1.5. And that changes how the material falls on the belt. And we'll see what kind of different, or not on the belt, off the belt onto the spinners is what I meant there. And we'll try it again. All right, this is about our 5th pan test here, and I think we're getting it dialed in. We're getting our rates closer at least. I know that, and trying to get the pattern. There's not a lot in here. We're still not quite there. All right, we have made some progress. I think we've got it where we need it to be for lime. We'll have to redo all of this when we start getting to some fertilizer. I had not been able to get my variable rate files to load earlier, but I did just get them from, right there, from our crop consultant. Oh boy, what is all that? Target rate, that's what we want. So I should be able to get them to load, and now we can actually use them, and that's awesome. So, like in this particular field we're sitting in here, we have one zone that needs lime all the way across. It needs 3,200 pounds, which would be 1.6 tons. And we can load that in there, and it will show up in the background, and now as we drive, it'll automatically turn the spreader on and off where we need it. Now, I've already done a bunch here, so we'll just turn our section control back on, and we won't re-spread that, but it should work. Cool. It's also lunchtime, so he's going to take, well, there's a whole test kit. I'll show you that later. It's got all them pans and scales and that kind of stuff in there. He's going to take that stuff back up to our shop for us and head on out, and we're going to spread out what we got. We did have to reload the spreader once because it took more pan testing than I thought it was going to, but we got it. So here you can see the black zone, we don't spread anything, and then as soon as we cross into the yellow there, it kicks the spinners on and goes to our target rate, our prescription rate. That is awesome. Well, let's see if we can get to our prescription rate. Might have to slow down to let it get up there, yeah. Might have to still play with some settings, figuring out our speed, and there's a gate on the back that we can open up more to let it get higher rates. So we might have to do that. Because right now we're going 4.5 miles an hour just to get to our 3,200 pounds rate. Lime is very dusty. Very, very dusty. So anyway, we're getting it. You can tell exactly where we're spreading and where we're not, and it's following our map just like it's supposed to. I still think we need to do some dialing in with our rates. Like I said, open that gate up a little bit to get a higher rate out so I can drive faster, or I don't know. I just want to retest a few things. The bulk density scale on, I don't know, because the Green Star rate controller tells me that the bin is emptying faster than the actual scale tells me. So I'm not sure why those don't match, but we're gonna keep digging into this a little bit. Our pattern is decent. I'm not too upset about that. Well, I'm not upset about that at all. Actually, I think that our pattern is really good. It's just making sure we're getting the right rate. But you can see the lime where we've spread it. Like it's definitely, we're putting on a bunch. So I don't think we're too far off. Ah, well, that looks good. It's this draw down here that needed it. The high ground up here did not. You can see it. We got it on. I think that's decent. Cool. Like I said, we just got to make sure our rates are right. For some reason our two scales or the controller and the scale aren't matching, and that concerns me. We're going to test the density of it again and just double check all my settings and see if we can't dial this in a little bit better. So, hey, but that field is done. We need to do some of the wheat stubble across the road where the piles are. Probably go work on that this afternoon. Brock and Phil are starting to get some wheat planted. That little bit of rain we had yesterday is enough to let us get started, and it's supposed to rain more tomorrow. So it is not looking like we're going to be able to harvest today. We'll kind of keep an eye on stuff, but the beans are too wet today. All right, so I was getting ready to load up our spreader again, and I thought, I wonder how close our scale is, because our scale and our rate controller don't match in what it says it's putting on. And I kind of thought when I was loading the spreader, I'm like, man, it looks like a lot more than what that scale says that it is, but I don't really know, right? Lime, whatever. So I climbed on the scale, or on the cart, and I looked through the back window to see what the scale said that I weighed, and it said that I weighed 60 pounds. I can assure you that I weigh more than 60 pounds. So our scale is way off, which is frustrating. Because how do you calibrate a scale on a spreader when I don't have a known amount of fertilizer to put in there? But we got to weigh something. So I need to be able to put a known weight on or in the spreader and see what the scale says versus what my known weight is, and then we can figure out a new calibration number from there. So, how do I do that? Well, I do have things that I know the weight of in the seed warehouse. I don't really want to put seed in the spreader, but I know the weight. So, I have a very sketchy setup going on here, and we're going to see what we can do. Let's take a look. So, I have right there a bag of wheat that I know weighs 2,500 pounds plus the bag plus the pallet. We'll call it 20 for that. So, we're going to call it 2,520 pounds. If I can set that on top of there without it falling or breaking my boards, I put 4 2x4s on edge and then set a pallet on top of them, and we're going to set this pallet right on top of that. We should be able to get a weight. Right now we're at 115 pounds. We're going to zero that. And now we're going to go put our bag on there, hopefully without dropping or spilling it, and see what we get. This is sketchy. But I don't have a good other way to do it without buying some fertilizer from the fertilizer company and having them come and deliver it right into my tender, which I don't really want to do right now. Yeah, we're trying real hard to leave those forks in there, but I got to get the weight off of them if this is going to be accurate. My boards are bending a little. They're not terrible, but we've only got 770 pounds according to that. Now, I know that there's a lot more than that because the front of the back of the forks are not on that pallet. They're down, but the fronts are still touching, so go down a little bit more and see what happens here. I just don't want that to break. That bag falls and we're in big trouble. Ooh, the front's low. Oh yes, we're off. We're off. Can you see? You can't see. There's air all the way through there and underneath. All right, let me check the other side. Oh yeah. Or maybe even pushing down on it just a touch. Let's go see what our scale says. 805 pounds. All right, so we're at 805. We know that is 2,500. That's bad. Okay, I lifted it up. So and we zeroed it out. I calibrated the scale. We went from 14,000 calibration number to 45 something. We're gonna set it back on there and see if it's much closer. 25.15. That is dang close. We'll take that. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, let's get that down before it falls. Well, we loaded up again. It's not full by any means, but I had about that much on there before, and it said it was 6,000 pounds. Let's see what it says now. Almost 18,000. We were off by 3, more or less. So, yeah, that's good. We're going to need the 7520 to load this thing way up because I got the backhoe bucket up as far as I could go. Like, we can go around the other side and get a little more on there, but especially when we put our sideboards on the top, we're not going to be able to get it full with that. 7520 goes a little higher though, so that's good. All right, I want to go grab the manual for the Green Star rate controller because there was a setting I wanted to double check. In that book. I don't have that one with me. I got the spreader manual, but not the rate controller manual. And then we got to figure out what field we're going to go to. We either go back here and spread between some tile lines, which is super fun, or go down the road to another bean field that was harvested yesterday, day before yesterday, and get that done. And they're going to spread chicken litter down there today, which means it needs to get worked soon, so maybe that's a smarter place to go anyway. Usually lime we pile in the field where we're going to spread it, but having this little stockpile right here across from the farm is not a bad thing, and we got a lot of farms that are close. Like, I can load here and then drive down the road to the field, and it's not a big deal. We're figuring some stuff out here. Okay, so there is that PFR number. I don't know if I talked about that earlier. Is it PFR? Something like that. CFR? Calibrations. CFR. It's basically how many cubic feet of product fall off the belt within one revolution, and we were trying to calibrate that earlier. Well, we thought we had to have it at a 4-inch gate opening because apparently some other branded controller uses a 4-inch gate opening. Well, the Green Star one uses a 1-inch gate opening, and so that's why our number was off so far earlier and why we couldn't get the rate to match up right. So we got the right number in there for that, which is going to help. We got our scale calibrated. I kind of sort of got the capacity of the spreader updated to somewhat closer to what it should be. It was at like 1,000 cubic feet. This doesn't hold 1,000 cubic feet. It's like 350 rated. I put it at 500 because I don't really know if you heap it up how much you can get in there. We're down in this other field here, and we've got our script loaded. We have 2 zones in this field. Not there. Let's go here. That's what they look like. So we got one right here, another right up there. We're going to spread this one zone that we're real close to here right now, and we're going to go across the rows because that's the most efficient way to do this, and see how we do here. And I opened, so that was the other thing. So that gate, I opened it up to 7. We had it at 4. I opened it up to 7. I told the computer it's now at a 7, so it should allow it to, or it should calculate the rates out now, and we should be able to get our target rate at a higher speed than 5 miles an hour, which is what we had it set for based on the charts. There's charts in the back of this book here for your density and your rate and the gate setting, but it's at a 5 mile an hour speed. So we're going to need it open more than that if we're going to go more than 5 miles an hour. Better here. Okay, so we're going 7. It's a little rough going across the rows. We got a lot more dust. You can tell we're putting a lot more product on faster. And it looks good. We maybe should pan test again now that we get things a little more dialed in, but we'll see. And you can see we're following those zones there. Basically, we're just driving through it, and the spinner turns on and off as it needs to. So I did go along the edges, the woods and the cornfield over there, so that it's got a on-off, but our section control will turn it off, and our brake controller when it's not calling for any. But we're going to go through a pile of lime in a hurry. Like this, we're going to use it up fast putting these heavy rates on. So while we're talking about this, lime, what is lime? Why are we putting lime on our fields? Anybody, what are we doing here? Well, lime, this is specifically high cal lime or high calcium lime. It's essentially calcium. What's the CO3 something? I don't know. I'd have to look up the formula for it. But it's calcium carbonate. It's limestone that's ground up, and it raises the pH of our soil. So it is important to keep our pHs neutral, balanced, and as we add fertilizers and things can cause our soils to become a little bit acidic over time. So we add lime in order to counteract that and keep them relatively balanced. This would be a completely organic application. Like there's nothing chemical or fertilizer really about this. It's ground up rocks. Well, we're empty. Okay, let's look at our map here. So we spread this whole zone down here. Kind of got the purplish coverage map there. And then I came up here to this zone, which is the higher of the two zones. Sorry, we're bouncing. And I made the perimeter. And we're out. So we got to go load up again and come back and do the rest of that zone. We're probably going to need another full spreader load to do it. So, yeah, that's why we pile in the fields usually and not leave everything at the farm, because like this, we're right down the road. It isn't no big deal. But if we were 4 or 5 miles away, you don't want to be running back and forth a bunch. We do in this field have that big chicken litter pile that's down over right there. I had somebody ask if this would spread chicken litter. It may very well spread chicken litter, but it is not designed for it. It is not a litter spreader. They're generally bigger, wider, just to handle the litter and the wetness of it, and they're different. That said, could I spread the litter with this? We could probably make it work. Do I want to? Nope, not at all. And the spreading and hauling and everything is included in the price of the litter that we pay for it up front, when they spread it. And so I have no desire to do it. We're going to let them handle it. They know what they're doing. They can do it just as good or better than I can. and there's no reason for me to mess with spreading that chicken litter. It's all included. Well, we're getting the hang of this. We put 7 buckets in there. It took about 7 to fill it up. I could probably get one more in the back. I don't know. It's going. Oh, let's go finish that field, and then we're going to do the one right across the road as well. Pretty cool to be able to look out and see the edge of where we've applied and where we haven't, and the nice even spread pattern out there. Looks really good. We're doing a great job here, so I'm happy with it. So the rates and what we are putting on was all determined based on the soil test that our crop consultant pulled way back in like May, June time frame. After the beans were planted, they come out, pull soil samples. We do soil samples based on zones, not grids. We like that better. Kind of takes into account soil types, but yield environment mostly, and we just try and group like performing areas together and go from there. So that's what these zones are based on. There are only 2 zones, like you saw in this field, that are actually getting a lime application here, because that's all that's needed. The field across the road, there's only 9 acres. It's all tested together. There's only 1 zone in that field, and it all needs, I think it was just 1 ton. It was a lower rate than this section, and this was the higher one than that one over there, and whatever. Yeah, this is the last pass here, I think. Yeah, we'll have plenty of product to finish this. We'll go spread it out across the road and then fill up for whatever we need left over there. All right, we're empty. It says that I did 3.4 acres to do out of the like 9.3 that's here. So we got 6 acres to do. It's a 2,000 pound rate. That means I need 12,000 pounds. And I happen to have a scale so we can know when we've got that. We might have to figure out how to get a readout on the side of the spreader if we're going to need to be accurate in our fill volumes. We're going to need to be able to know that from outside of the cab here, where we can see it on the display. I have to have the air filters working good doing this. Got a lot of overlap in the back there because there was not much I could do about it. We have section control, but we're 60 feet. There's no half width or shutting off parts of the thing. It's all or nothing. It just turns on and off where there's coverage and where there's not. So anyway, we got one more pass to make here. Should have plenty of lime in the spreader. And then I think we're going to head back, and I don't know, we got to make a plan, figure out where else we need to go. Let's go over and check on Brock. He's been planting wheat. This is a field that, did I combine this? I don't remember doing this. Dad must have done this one. I think he did this one when I was down at Farm Science Review last week. Yeah, that's what happened. And we're going to go with wheat here. So Brock's been running the air seeder today. Him and Phil have been getting that rates dialed in and everything the way they should be. So this is as much wheat planting footage as you'll probably get from me this year. On our air seeder, 1990. Looks good. Do a little digging here. We got beans on the ground, Dad. God, moisture. Look at that. Look how much moisture we got. There's our seeds. Nice depth. Perfect. That's exactly what we like to see. Looks good. Oh, better move. He's gonna run me over. He disappeared into the tanks. Gosh dang, that fan's loud. Gotta run it high for wheat. I remember it's like 30. I run it up to like 30 on that gauge. It's probably plenty, but it's loud. All right. Well, he seems to be doing well. Getting about the right amount of acres. The rate's got to be awfully close anyway. It's early, so you can go a little lighter on the wheat than if it was late. Today's the 23rd of September. If it was the 20th of October, we'd want to bump our rate up a little bit, but given that we're early, we don't need to plant too heavy. We usually shoot for around 1.6 million seeds per acre. So it takes a little math to figure that out, but we can get there. Anyway, Phil's down here with the seed wagon. He's going to help him fill up in a little bit. We're going to go check on Dad. Dad's got a little dirt moving project he's working on. So we've got a filter strip along the river here, the St. Joe River, the same river that we used to irrigate out of. Runs right through there, and we've got this cornfield. And we put this filter strip in a long time ago. There's a couple of spots where the water kind of blows out, and it was filling some sediment in the middle here. So Dad is scraping dirt out and reshaping it a little bit. He had to get permission from the conservation district or whoever, because it's a filter strip. It's part of a government program, so we can't just do anything without permission. But he got it, and then they said you have to have it reseeded by October 1st. Yeah, it's September 23rd, so I'm trying to do it now. Looks good. Got what I thought I needed to get done. Yeah. This is one of those little land improvement projects that you got to do. It does help the farm because it helps keep the water out of the field. When the river floods and it overflows, it goes along the side into this kind of almost a secondary channel there, filter strip, and it helps keep it off of the field. So that is good for us, but we don't own this farm. It's just some maintenance work that we do for the landlord. You know, trying to keep everything in good shape, do the right thing. Well, the sun's trying to come out, but it hasn't made it yet. Probably not going to combine any beans today. It's almost 5 o'clock now as it is. Thought I'd walk out into this cornfield. This was relatively early planted, within the first 3 or 4 days of planting corn this year. And it is 103-day corn, so I'm going to walk out here and pull some ears, just see where we're at moisture-wise. Still got some green out here. Not a lot of tar spot. That's pretty impressive, actually. I know we sprayed this, and there is some, but not a ton. This corn did not die from tar spot. So upright leaves yet means this is probably still a little wet, but we'll pull a few ears here, 3 or 4 ears, and take them back and see what the tester says. Those are some awfully nice ears. I'm starting to get a little excited for our corn crop. I wasn't expecting our early beans to be quite as good as they are, and it's making me think maybe our corn's better than I think too. I got my fancy little hand corn sheller thing that, once you get it started, it works pretty well. The problem is you guys are up too high. You can't see this because I can't. You just put it on and twist. It's more work than a combine. It's less work than pulling all the kernels off there by hand, or you know what I mean. The drier the corn is, the easier this is. This one feels a little wetter than the first year that I did. Got it. Okay, that's 2. Here's our 4 years worth of corn. Analyze corn. Pour it in the top. And let it test it. 26.7. Not the same as the other field that I did last week. It looked drier. That other field looks drier. The grain. The corn, not the grain. Yeah. Alright. Be patient. No reason to combine it yet. The other field that I needed to spread some lime on actually takes a different kind of lime. I'll explain later. Anyway, so I had some time, so I thought I would get a new radio put into our new truck here. So we got a new Midland 2-way radio. Got that installed. Fairly simple, easy to do because I used the antenna that came with the truck. I don't know if you're supposed to do that with these. They're really CB antennas. It works on the other Volvo, so we figured it would work here. It does not, however, work on the Cascadia. I've got it plugged in that way, and it works, but the range is horrendous in that truck. So when I get a chance, we're gonna put a real antenna on there that came with the radios. Okay, so that's good. What else? I don't know. It's about time for me to go home. The boys got football practice tonight, so I got to go pick them up at 7. It's not that time yet. So they're calling for more rain tomorrow. So I am planning on it raining tomorrow and getting set up to treat some wheat. That's the plan for tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If it's not raining, we'll either spread some more fertilizer or plant some wheat or whatever the case may be. But I have a customer that's bringing me a wagon right now with some wheat, so we gotta get that around. Phil was just down here, and he took 4 of my bags. They're right there. Emptied them. That's wheat that we bought. That's going in. We're gonna plant it tomorrow, or maybe tonight yet if we need a little bit. So he put that in a wagon to be able to go put into the air seeder when Brock gets it empty. Apparently he's got all the first stuff that I treated out of there. So we're gonna organize and clean up here a little bit and figure out where we're gonna put this wagon.